Xbox putting games on PlayStation when it first started obviously was a controversial decision. The reasoning behind it, though, makes a ton of sense for them to be able to sell more games, especially with the console not selling nearly as much as PlayStation or Nintendo. But the question still remains, how many copies of their games are actually selling on the PlayStation platform? We have some more information, some more good insight with numbers as to how many games are actually selling. So we will take a look at that. But before we continue, if you enjoy daily gaming news, content, discussions like this, just going over stuff happening within the gaming industry, please hit the subscribe button, share the video, like the video. I see many of you who do watch almost on a daily basis now are not subscribed. So I would appreciate that. Let's get into it. So as we know, there are multiple games from Xbox on PlayStation. It started last year with four major games. You had Grounded, you have Sea of Thieves, and then you had, I guess, some smaller ones with Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush. Although Hi-Fi Rush, as we know, was an awesome game, a huge game for the people that did like it. But I feel like, and I think the numbers do confirm after we did see everything that came out about Hi-Fi Rush in terms of sales, was that it was really a vocal minority of people who hyped the game up, who enjoyed it. The game deserved it. It was one of my favorite games. I thought it was Xbox's game of the year that it did come out. And I believe it was the same year as Starfield. And I was saying Hi-Fi Rush deserved the game of the year nomination more so than Starfield. But it's a very niche game. It just did not sell very well. And we even have some more numbers here to back that up on PlayStation. Now we know what happened after that with them closing Tango Gameworks and then Tango Gameworks being revived by Crafton. And luckily, we're going to be getting another Hi-Fi Rush, a sequel to it, which I could not be happier about. But there's other games as well that landed, and we have more information here. Now, this all comes via Alinea Analytics, and they have some infographics and some good information as to just how well these games are selling on PlayStation. We even just recently saw and talked about last week the pre-orders for Forza Horizon 5 and Indiana Jones topping the PlayStation chart. So here is the information that they have put out here. Now, again, this is an analytics company. The data is probably pretty close to being correct, but I don't know if it's 100% because Xbox doesn't reveal these specific numbers themselves. So I'm guessing they are just basing it off of the data that is out there and available that they do have. They say here that Sea of Thieves has sold 15 million copies across PlayStation and Steam. And that's not including however many it sold on Xbox. I believe it had actually reached like 40 million players or something. So there's probably a significant amount of sales as well on the Xbox console. They say copies sold here 13.3 million on Steam, and then 1.8 million of that 15 million is coming from the PlayStation platform. I would say that is pretty successful here for a game that was already out for a very long time, already had a massive player base. The likelihood that people who really, really wanted to play this game and that were only had a PlayStation ended up going to pick it up somewhere else at some point before it did land on the console. They either went and picked up an Xbox at the time or when eventually played it on PC. So you're kind of already going onto a platform where people potentially would have already had the game or played it and then trying to gather the people who haven't picked it up yet to go ahead and buy it. 1.8 million copies here for Sea of Thieves after it already being very successful, I think is pretty good here. And that's going to be just a pure cash injection, I would say, to Rare, to Xbox, and for them to be able to continue to make games and put out more content. And I feel like Sea of Thieves is going to be a good example as to kind of what we will see with Forza Horizon 5, although I expect even more than that. I feel like Forza Horizon 5 is going to be the most successful Xbox launch on PlayStation because of the game that it is, how popular it is, and it is a phenomenal game. To a lot of people, it is the best racing game out there. So I think that one will actually do better than Sea of Thieves, but we'll obviously have to wait and see when that eventually does come out. The other one here is Grounded. Grounded did 5 million on Steam and PlayStation, 4.1 million on Steam, so that's PC, and then 436.5K on PlayStation. Obviously lower, but still It's like okay. I mean, I don't know what Xbox would think about these numbers. To me, it's a multiplayer game. Again, this was another one that was already successful. I was thinking probably they're hoping for about 1 million players out there on PlayStation to go pick this up, a console that has a large install base. But 436,000, at least as of right now, seems kind of low on PlayStation. But this one never was on the top of the sales charts. It was always Sea of Thieves with these original four that did launch there. Grounded, Pentiments, and Hi-Fi Rush, I don't think ever reached the top sales chart. So that number does kind of make sense. And when I again, why I say Forza Horizon 5 will probably do better than Sea of Thieves because it's already on the top pre-order charts and people are doing it or pre-ordering it to be able to play early for a game that is already out there. Now the other two games, I guess three games here, we have the numbers. These ones did not sell very much on PlayStation, but this is not surprising. We already knew this. Hi-Fi Rush overall between PC and PlayStation didn't even sell 1 million copies. And this is the entire thing here when it comes to this game. If we remember here, I was very upset when Tango Gameworks got shut down because I loved the game. I played it, one of my favorite games, and I was really thinking Tango Gameworks was a studio that Xbox had that was a gem in terms of the styles of games that they do make. And obviously, it was a foothold in Japan for them, something they don't really have. And I thought that makes complete sense to have that studio. So them closing it down to me kind of was counterintuitive to some of the things that they had been preaching about trying to grow in Japan. But the outrage about Hi-Fi Rush definitely was far more blown up on social media. I feel like a lot of people who were talking about this probably didn't even actually play the game because if you look at the sales numbers for Hi-Fi Rush, they aren't very impressive. And it all makes sense now why the decisions that were made strictly from a numbers and a business perspective, from an accounting perspective, you could say. And I don't think looking at the entire bigger picture as to what a game like Hi-Fi Rush and a game like and a studio like Tango Gameworks brings over to Xbox, but the just numbers aren't great. It probably didn't even sell very well on Xbox. There's many reasons around this. The shadow drop probably did not go the way that they expected it to go because it was a smaller niche game. And at games like that, I would say need some more marketing campaign and hype surrounding it in order to get people to know exactly what this game was. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it did not sell very well really anywhere. It didn't even hit 1 million copies between Steam and PlayStation. The other one here, which this one's more surprising, is simply because I would have expected this to be huge on PC and on Steam. This is Age of Mythology Retold. Only 435,000 copies on Steam, and then only 41,000 on PlayStation. The PlayStation number isn't surprising. This is a game that is not going to have a big fan base on console itself. They are finally taking these games and mapping console controllers to them to be able to play them, and I think that's a great thing, but it's going to take a while for them to take off. And then you have Pentiment here. Again, not surprising at all. This is a very, very niche game that I don't think anybody expected to sell well, but 261,000 copies on Steam and only 14,000 copies on PlayStation. And this is what they do say. This is what the report sums up about these numbers and about what Xbox is doing. They say Xbox's strategic experience with PlayStation ports, even seemingly commercially underperforming ones, are a calculated long-term play. And Xbox has just been testing the waters so far, refining its cross-platform strategy ahead of larger, more consequential releases. The inevitable launches of marquee IPs like Gears of War or Halo on PlayStation were once unthinkable, but now they're a certainty. While some corners of the internet argue that the move dilutes Xbox's appeal, the long-term upside of Xbox as a third party is clear. And that's what this report basically is saying based off of these initial results of these games. Again, Sea of Thieves being the big one, and you see the amount of copies it sold across Steam and PlayStation. I think that is pretty successful. I think, yes, if we put out bigger names, more popular games, they are going to sell very well on PlayStation, and we are going to make a lot more money to be able to continue to invest in the ecosystem, into Game Pass, and to give gamers on Xbox and wherever they're playing more content to jump in and play. The other thing that they do mention here is Halo and Gears of War. Now, we don't have announcements about that going on PlayStation yet, but the rumors have been going crazy around it. I wouldn't be very surprised if this does happen. One of the things people are talking about, though, is the Master Chief Collection. People are convinced here that the whole Master Chief Collection is dropping not only on the Nintendo Switch, people are saying that the Master Chief Collection could be a Nintendo Switch 2 launch game, which I think would be an incredible the launch game for the Switch 2, and that game would sell very well on there. I'd probably go pick up another copy of it on the Switch 2 just to play it and see what it was like on that platform. But they're also saying it's going to also drop on the PS5 in the near future. We have kind of an update here, and this is via Tom Warren, who is talking on the Xbox 2+1 podcast, and he seems to think here that there may be a different style of release here for the Master Chief Collection on the Nintendo Switch. And I guess the Nintendo Switch, this would be able to run on the current Nintendo Switch, so I'm sure it'd be on both. But it says here, according to Tom Warren, Microsoft might only release some Halo games from Halo Master Chief Collection on Nintendo Switch instead of the entire collection. Kind of mind-boggling. I don't know why they would do this. I don't know what would be the point of this whatsoever. I feel like this would deteriorate the entire experience depending on how they do it. Like, would they just be releasing Halo Anniversary Edition and you're just getting the single player experience with that? And then later on, they'll release like the Halo 2 Anniversary, and then you'll get the multiplayer. But these will all be standalone things that you have to go out and buy separately rather than into one big compilation. From, again, Xbox's business side of things, that makes a ton of sense. They'll be able to double, triple, quadruple dip on people who go out and buy every single one separately. But from the game perspective, one of the biggest draws, at least for me with the Halo Master Chief Collection, was just having everything into a singular experience, having its own custom UI, going in and being able to see all of your stats across all the games in just one place. Like, that was a very cool part of the Master Chief Collection. So taking that away, I think absolutely deteriorates the game. But maybe they're looking at the demographics and realizing that people on the Switch who have never been able to play Halo before, who have never had an Xbox, never played on PC, they don't care. They just want to get their hands on the game one way or another, and they're going to be able to double, triple, quadruple dip on all the people out there that would go out and buy every single Halo Master Chief game separately. So maybe that is what they are looking at. But April 2nd is right around the corner. I wonder if we will see anything about those. We've heard about the release plan for the Switch 2, how there's different tiers of it. It's going to launch with just first-party games. Then it's going to go to third-party games after that. That's yet to be foreseen if it's true or not, but then we'll see more when those announcements do come out specifically from Halo. We are hearing that Xbox is going to have a presence, though, here on the Switch 2 with the launch. So lots of news will be coming out this week. Very excited to talk about that. But I just wanted to go over those numbers because that's a question people have. How many are actually selling on PlayStation? And now we see they're doing good. They're doing decent. At least the big ones like Sea of Thieves are doing decent. And then the smaller niche titles aren't as successful. And then now we're seeing Forza and Indiana Jones next up on PlayStation for release. So the Xbox definitely is seeing the numbers and seeing that the big hitters, the bigger titles will sell well on PlayStation platform, and they're going to just cash in on those users. But on the video there, guys, if you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.